So it's 0 degrees outside. My truck won't start with a dead battery. Received in the package from Inline Tube for the 1960 brake lines that I ordered. And you can see they did not send the right lines. 1960 does not have this U-shaped end on either side of the front. The line comes out and straight and is broken right here. So send them back, work on something else. So this is the front line that came off of the car. A little section about this long had broken, and we crimped that off so that we could make a temporary block. We went and got new brake line because the company I'm dealing with still hasn't replaced the wrong line, and even installed it. We're able to use just one piece from the junction block over here to the brake line over yonder. Didn't have to use any unions, and actually came out real nice. I'll show you some pictures. One of those days when not a lot went correct, so the brake line was wrong. Well, we did install the wheel cylinders and the brake shoes and the brake return springs and the backing plate. And since it was 3 degrees out there, guess what wouldn't start? Yeah, 2 years old. Well, it's 4 degrees outside. Can't remember when the last time Central New York had this kind of cold weather, but we're not getting that New England snowstorm. Was it Isaac or somebody where it put 24 inches in Boston? Don Cole, we're thinking about you. I did check the torque on the main nut and install a cotter pin. Cotter pin's also in the front. And since it's too cold to do anything else, how about we wax the Aldo? Makes me glad I didn't get a 70s Eldorado. My arms are big enough so I can get halfway across the roof. With those other ones that are so large, I think it takes you 3 days to wash and wax one of those. On we go. This is some of the antifreeze I took out of the Coupe 2 yesterday. I like to put it in clear containers like this and then let it sit overnight, because you can see how much dirt is in your coolant and in your engine block. You can see this is a pretty clean engine block. So I put a 1.5 gallons of straight 100% antifreeze in it, and we will fill it up, and then we will recheck to see how good. It said it was currently good to -15. Well, a little bit of antifreeze just to make sure a block doesn't crack. Always a good idea. So, what are you doing today, Bob? Another cold Central New York day. It's like 10 degrees out. One of us is finishing up the front brake line. one of us is going to get ready to remove the gas tank. This is one nice gas tank. I've seen these things pretty bad for rust. So the thing we want to talk about was these J-bolts that hold on the straps. Generally they're really caked with. When you're working on gas tanks, of course, be safe because you're working around fuel. Up until like 1964, you will find drain plugs in these gas tanks. And that makes your job so much easier for removing fuel. This one is empty, and I've taken a wire brush. So I took a wire brush on the end of a drill and went up to the J-bolts. J-bolts. There you go. Get those cleaned off. Generally they're really coated with undercoating and rust. These are great shape. So we'll get a long socket and soak them up good, and that'll get the front of the tank dropped down. We'll disconnect the fuel sender and the outlet hose. So here's the tank removed. The J-bolts were super easy. And I was digging around trying to disconnect the sender wire, and there was no disconnecting the sender wire. Here's the fuel tank removed. The sending wire generally is removable, and this one has some sort of crimp fitting that I'm still confused about. Haven't seen it before. So we'll knock the sender off, see what we got for the inside of the tank.
Well, something's apparent right off the bat. The semi-uni strap is broke.
What? There's no float?
In the strap. I don't know if I can save this one.
What's the inside of the tank look like? Ooh. Well, there's your answer. One junk tank, tons of rust. There's your answer.
Yeah.
Hey, Murray!
Yeah, that one's seen better days.
We found the float. It's stuck in the goo in the bottom of the tank. And you can see that the fuel sock totally destroyed. So, never trust an old gas tank. So we had some trouble here with the camera. When it gets cold, the battery is not reliable. Sometimes it quits and you don't know it quit, and so you're not recording. The carburetors have been reinstalled, the fuel line hooked back up. The brake system is full of .5 and it has been bled. We have a new line that runs from the junction block here to this set of wheel cylinders. We put alcohol solvent in the front of the gas line that runs to the fuel pump from the fuel tank, and blew that backwards to flush the line, and got a surprisingly dark amount of contaminated fuel out of it. We did 2 or 3 flushes with the alcohol, and then the material was running clear and clean, and then we blew the line dry. So this car definitely was suffering from old, gummed up, contaminated fuel. And here we are under the back of the car with the fuel tank removed. The floor, trunk floor, is super solid, even showing some of the old primer paint from the factory. That's what a gas tank looks like for a 60 Chrysler. 61 looks the same too. That's the sending unit. And there's your tank. Isn't that nice? Not better looking than the one that came out. So we'll be interested really in what the sending unit looks like. We've got the new sender and the old sender. We've laid them one over the other. We're comparing the throw of the arm and the stops. This is the full up position. They match perfect. Now we'll move the arms to the full stop position. You see here it's against the stop. Lay one over the other, and you see they are a perfect match. So it isn't a matter of bending this float arm in order to get the gauge to read right. And with that, we will now install your new sender. And here you go. One gas tank installed. I did not think to get a ground strap for the sender, so I'm still going to have to add that. But there's your fuel line and the vent line.